before the end of time, first referenced in Daniel 12:1. And I talked about how blood was used to purify things, here specifically utensils, and utensils used in worship. Okay? And the image of the garments is going to represent the same thing here, so we better go on and read about those garments. Verse 13. Then one of the elders addressed me, saying, "Who are these, clothed in white robes, and from where have they come?" I said to him, "Sir, you know." And he said to me, "These are the ones coming out of the great tribulation. They've washed their robes and made them white in the blood of the Lamb. Therefore they are before the throne of God and serve him day and night in his temple. And he who sits on the throne will shelter them with his presence. They shall hunger no more, neither thirst no more. The sun shall not strike them, nor any scorching heat. For the Lamb in the midst of the throne will be their shepherd." "And he will guide them to the springs of living water, and God will wipe away every tear from their eyes." So what grabs your attention there?
The last verse.
Yes, that's the promise.
Something to think of.
Yeah, and it's the reason to endure all the hardship. Whether the normal hardship of living an average life as God's people, or the extraordinary hardship of the final tribulation, the reason to endure all of it is that's what's coming. Absolutely. And I don't know if I have it in my PowerPoints, but that is definitely representative or reminiscent of Isaiah, a passage that we read regularly at our funerals, which is death is pictured as a covering over a mountain of all peoples, and God lifts the covering off and then sets a table for a feast there. And he says he will wipe away all the tears from their eyes. I think it's Isaiah 25, if I remember right. What else in that area?
And they have washed their robes and made them white in the blood of the Lamb.
Right. And so we're used to talking about being washed in the blood of Jesus, especially. That's especially common language among certain evangelicals, but we all use it. We rarely remember, like I said, originally blood was used to purify the utensils you were going to use to lead worship. Again, because what is blood? It's life stuff. You need to get rid of the sin stuff, the death stuff off of it. So that's how it was used to purify things. So, anybody took my class last year? What do we call the Old Testament thing that gets fulfilled in the New Testament? So it's a type. If you see, Paul uses this language. Type is an Old Testament, if we call it prefiguring of the reality. And it sounds a little backward to our way of thinking, but the antitype is the fulfillment of that. So when Paul talks about Jesus as the new Adam, Adam is the type of the one who was to come, Christ. Christ is the antitype. He's the fulfillment. So when you'll occasionally see that language, especially, again, you're not really going to get through Romans without it, but occasionally preachers will use it too. So just so you know what that is. The prefiguring. So the prefiguring of the washing of these robes, the type was the purification of the worship utensils in Leviticus. Okay, this is the fulfillment of that. What else?
I think it's interesting how he answers.
One more time?
I think it's interesting with how he answers, and maybe it's just the way it reads in our language, but it says, one of the elders asked, do you know where they came from?
Mm-hmm.
And he says, "Sir, you know," and then he goes on to explain. I don't know, the "Sir, you guess in our language, it almost sounds kind of cocky, like, well, you know, I think
Yeah.
less. Like, what is
I don't
this?
know.
Like, I
Yeah,
don't know.
well, the sir is an address of respect. So, oh, please, I'm humble, I don't know the
So
answer.
he is saying kind of like he doesn't know.
Yes,
Yeah,
exactly,
okay.
yeah, precisely.
How would he know?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's interesting, though, what does he say, though? These are the ones coming out of the Great Tribulation. Means they've gone through it. Again, this is just, and I'm not trying to run down anyone else's understanding of things, talk to your own pastor, but one of the reasons why I don't believe that we'll be raptured out and miss the hard stuff is then we're not part of this worship around the throne. We have to go through the tribulation, not be absented from it. That doesn't necessarily mean there won't be a lifting up of all peoples. That will happen. We greet him in the air, as Paul said, but it's not so we can avoid the tribulation. We still have to go through that part of it.
For someone who does believe in the rapture, I would say the thing that I kind of see the difference is the fact when it says, when they seal their foreheads, it says all the tribes of Israel. I don't see where it's talking about the Gentiles,
Right.
which would be where someone like myself who does believe in the rapture, we're already in heaven.
Okay, so you're seeing that only the Jews have to go through.
The Jews that
The
don't
tribulation.
acknowledge that who Jesus is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that's helpful. That's helpful to understand why you would interpret
Yeah,
it that way.
yeah.
And I think the version, the interpretation I come from is that this represents all the people of God, not just the Jews being named. So,
Yeah, and then I guess that's where I feel like I see it, then they're all together. Because I think it's chapter 4, just as a reference, chapter 4, that's where I see the saints in heaven before the tribulation. That's just how I
and that's,
thought.
but it's good to know why Christians could come to different understandings of the same text,
Yeah.
right? For sure. Absolutely. All right. Anything else here at the end of chapter 7? In any event, what we're having here is a vision of the church triumphant. So again, classic Christian language would be talk about the church militant and the church triumphant, right? So this is the church triumphant gathered. They've been through the tribulation. They've survived it. We're ready to go. But the church militant is the one still in the battle. So you'll often see it portrayed like this. If you see medieval architecture, if you ever go over to Europe, you'll see a lot of, especially behind the altar, you'll see this kind of artwork. And you'll see lots and lots of this kind of stuff, usually broken up by social caste, because some duke paid for the painting of it. He's not going to have the hoi polloi with him along. He's the dukes march in separate, that kind of thing. But in any event, you'll see this kind of thing. So the seventh seal was opened after we're treated to the vision of God's superabundant mercy and grace, meaning the sealing of the tribes and the preservation of them. The signs of chapter 6 are meant to be unsettling and strip away our pretensions.